I'm so excited to be back with the podcast, Innovate and Reach. Intentionally, I've been trying my best to bring on people that would mean a lot to me, have benefited my life in so many different sectors, have seen my climb for success or just the climb, y'all. Maybe success is still coming, but I offer to you, I'm so excited today to be here with a friend of mine, a brother of mine, Emmanuel Lalande. Dr. Lalande is a senior vice president at Columbia College Chicago, but he's going to tell you exactly what he does at Columbia College Chicago.
Well, thank you, Dr. Benjamin. I've been fortunate to be the senior vice president for enrollment strategies and student success at Columbia College Chicago. Not all the other Columbias, and all Columbias are great, but Columbia College Chicago is very, very, very special.
Man, a couple of weeks ago, I had an amazing opportunity to come see you on campus.
Yep.
Man, that tour meant a lot to me because, you drive past these buildings downtown or even like just in Chicago.
Yeah.
You never know what's on the inside.
Absolutely.
And because I was here for the Taste of Chicago, I had saw the building the night before.
Mm-hmm.
When you toured me around that campus, just briefly, because we have a lot we want to cover, just tell me, like, up to this point, what's been the most meaningful moment in your journey? Because all we see is the outside of the building.
Yeah.
When I walked in there, all I could think of the innovation that's taking place, these student experiences taking place. It's not a tradition. From my view, it's not the traditional 4-year stop that some students get to make.
Right.
It's so dope. So, like, what has been that moment for you?
I have plenty of special moments, but when I'm thinking about Columbia College Chicago, it was founded in 1890, right, by a woman, Mary Blood, right? And in 1890, to be founded by a woman so powerful as her, fast forward to where we are today, right? Now we have our 11th president, who is our first African-American president in Shante N. Bolton. So it's an exciting time for us. So when I think about my journey and where I am 100+ days in, it's the students, right?
Yeah.
It's the people, it's the faculty, it's the staff. Spent some time with some alums in LA. It's the uniqueness of them, right?
Yeah.
So, some people say creative careers are done, right? What does that actually mean? Do you need a degree in that?
Yeah.
But creativity is all over.
It is.
Right? And Columbia College being at the center of what creativity and creative careers start at Columbia College, Chicago.
Now, I'm going to let the cat out the bag. Y'all, I've been knowing Emmanuel now, going on 8 years.
Yeah.
Roughly about 8 years.
Yeah.
I can tell you, like, our journey started in interaction with each other at a small HBCU in South Florida.
Yep.
And then when he left there, he went to South Carolina. What I appreciated about our relationship is I was a non-traditional student, and he saw value in my maturity.
Absolutely.
But what I want to say is, first let me say this too. Y'all, I'm a man of Phi Beta Sigma. I don't know how many times I want to be able to share this with y'all.
We're not going to hold that against him.
See, I felt like he was going to jab me. And he's a man of Kappa Alpha Psi. And so I cracked.
The greatest fraternity in the world.
Lord, y'all hear the plug.
And I'm getting ready to celebrate my 20th year.
Oh, okay. So I give you that.
I think I'm an OG, but you might beat me.
I ain't far behind. And so, but I'll tell y'all, man, what I learned was in that moment, I think this is worth sharing before we get into our content. Y'all, on every campus, and I'm talking predominantly or Black Greek letter organizations, there can be these campus nuances.
Yeah.
Some would call them beefs or just traditions. And I'll be honest with you, where I joined Phi Beta Sigma, Kappa Alpha Psi and Phi Beta Sigma, we didn't have a beef per se,
right,
but we just had our individualism where we just all felt like we were the best of what we all represent. And so the day I got an opportunity to meet you and learn that I'd have an opportunity to be employed by you,
right,
I didn't know you was a Kappa.
right.
But when I walked in your office, I noticed you were. And all I could think about was my undergraduate experience, not necessarily the experience that I was walking into room to be offered.
Right.
And so I think that's important to know with people, like, don't take experiences you've had in the past and use them to decide how you'll expand your network for the future.
Right.
Because I could have robbed myself of an opportunity of greatness because I was leaving the military and exploring higher ed as a career when now I've hit in a space where I feel like I'm championing higher ed as a career.
And you're doing a great job.
Man,
Right?
appreciate that, man.
I think, we get so caught up in, I am a part of this particular fraternity, this particular sorority, but at the end of the day, it's all about service, right?
Yeah,
It's really all about how do we better serve our community?
Yeah.
How do we better serve, if it's an undergraduate campus, our campus, and then really, how do we become role models to the next generation, right? And as I look at your journey, and you made the difficult decision to continue your education as an adult learner, right? After having a successful career in the military, right? So that's a challenge in itself, and I commend you. I commend you for the journey you have made.
I want to get into
Dr. Benjamin.
Man, you've been a part of that journey for real. I think late night texts, early texts, whatever it took to get to the finish line.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to kind of like touch on, because in the military, but every 2 to 3 years, I was always somewhere new. In fact, I kind of got that itch when I was in Miami. When I hit the 3-year mark,
Right.
I lived in Miami about 6 years. After I met you, I stayed another 4 years.
Right.
And it was the itch of, it's time to move, man. And it's not because I really wanted to leave. While I enjoy all 4 seasons, I'm enjoying being back home in South Louisiana.
Yeah.
But I was enjoying Miami. I mean, most people at the age when I was there would say Miami was a place to be, right?
Right.
But I've noticed in your journey, because I've studied your journey, I've been real intentional about those that I seek out mentorship from,
Right.
or I trust as leaders, or even colleagues, or I do life with. I want to study their journey. And studying your journey, I've seen you worked in a lot of places.
Right.
Not a lot of places, but in a bad way, but more a lot of places. Like, as your career has grown, you've had opportunities, and they've been in really, like, I'm not talking about like your whole career was in Florida,
Right.
or your whole career was in Delaware, or your whole career was on the East Coast, or Texas. I've seen you make some moves. What does that level of sacrifice look like as the individual? But I also want you to speak through the lens of family.
Yeah.
Because you're a family man too.
Yeah,
I can remember being at the institution in South Florida, and a late night event, I got to see your family there too.
Yeah.
So now that your family's grown since then, what does that sacrifice look like for you as a person, but also through the lens of family?
So for those who don't know, when I met Jarrod, I only had one kid actually.
Yeah.
The second kid came later, and then since the pandemic, I have a third child. So I'll start out like this. My guiding principles, right? Faith, family, focus.
Yeah.
Right. So any and everything that I do, faith is always a part of it.
Yeah,
right?
that's good.
It doesn't matter which institution I am, whether you're progressive or not, whether you're spiritual or not. For me, faith is first and foremost. Second, family, right? What is going to be best for my family, right? And then the last is focus, and focus is usually career. Focus is usually whatever it's that main thing that I'm really trying to achieve at that time. So in my career, those things were my guiding principles. So, if someone looks at my resume, they'll say, oh man, he moved a lot, right? But every move has been strategic, right?
Yeah.
I feel I am a leader in my own right. However, in order for you to be an effective, and I think a good leader, you have to learn how to follow, right? And I think I followed some incredible people, right? And Dr. Dewan Womack, who's at Claflin University. We were together at Bethune-Cookman. He became president at Harrisville State University. And then I had the great opportunity to really follow Dr. Rosalind Clark Artist, who was president at Florida Memorial University, and ended up going to Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina. And I joined her, right? I think it was an amazing opportunity in those 10 years of following 2 presidents, right? Because for me, it was just a opportunity to, follow what I believe were role models to me, who I believe were role models to me, and really what position or what opportunity is going to position my family to be successful. And I feel Fast forward, being in this space called higher education that sometimes can remind you of being a military family.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel my wife, Tamara,
Mm-hmm.
who we've been together for 21 years, 16 years married. She has just been an amazing woman who has been patient, flexible, and in order for me to make many of these moves, you have to have a supportive wife, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a supportive family, and many of those decisions, if not all of them, was made with us having that conversation on what's going to be, what's the reason for making that move,
Uh-huh.
how does it benefit the family, and then we pray on it and we move accordingly.
If you had to think about sacrifice,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of move we talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
What was one of the largest sacrifices you think you've made throughout this career journey? And when I'm talking specific to higher ed, because I know like it's 2025, man.
Yeah,
We all got an entrepreneur spirit.
yeah.
We all got something else we've considered doing. But what was your biggest sacrifice, you'd say?
So my biggest sacrifice was moving to St. Louis, right?
Okay.
And having to be away from my wife and daughter. At the time, I only had one kid
Mm-hmm.
for almost a year, right?
Yeah.
And going back and forth every 2 weeks or so on and so forth. It was every 2 weeks because I wasn't making that much yet at the time. So that was gut wrenching, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because again, faith, family, focus. But with all of that, faith came first,
Mhm.
right? So I had faith that I was making the right decisions
Yeah, that's good.
to be able to make this sacrifice that impacts my family, because being in your kid's life and having that support from your spouse is important, right?
Yeah.
But I also knew that this opportunity, which gave me the opportunity to be a vice president
Mhm.
at an early age, which when you look at the field of vice presidents for student affairs, vice presidents for enrollment, the field is changing now, but at the time,
Oh man, I know. Like when I met you, and I keep it a buck.
yeah,
You were probably the youngest
yeah,
vice president I have ever encountered in
Yeah,
higher
absolutely, yeah.
education. So that also made conversations I wanted to have with you
hmm
a little more comfortable,
yeah.
because I probably wouldn't have been as comfortable if I felt like I was talking to my father.
Well, being young is a gift and a curse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it gave me opportunity to be relatable to the
Yeah,
students,
yeah.
but at the same time, you're at the table, but you're always challenged on
Oh, we keep it
should
a
you be
buck.
at the table.
Well, I think that's gonna take me into like one of the things I experienced when it came to ageism.
Yeah,
I was working at a larger institution. I left a small institution. When I say small, private HBCU, and went to a R1 in South Florida that had like an incredible amount of students.
right.
I think if I had to guess, they're definitely over 40,000 in students. And so I'm used to knowing everybody, to getting in a space, and like that was probably one times in the first 2 or 3 weeks I did feel intimidated on like, how do I grow my network? I first started trying to grow it by finding people who had like identity. But then I was trying to find it like who to plug, but my position when I met my colleagues, they'd be like, hey, I got children your age. And I'm like, man, I'm in here to talk about the agenda. You want to tell me about kids? So at first, I did not know how to handle those conversations. So I started kind of handling them direct, but not direct in a rude way. I'm like, tell them I said, hey, but I really want to get to work. Like,
Right.
And so what I had to do is I felt like sometimes I was experiencing burnout because I spent more time trying to prove myself that I was worth being in the room versus just doing my 40 to 55. And I say 55, we talking higher ed. My 40 to 55 hours of work a week.
Maybe 60.
Come on now. And what I was doing is I felt myself trying to prove myself to my colleagues when I already had the role. I battled with that. What was your battle like?
That's a great question. And, if I go back to how I started in higher education at my alma mater, Delaware State University, I also had the privilege of working as a staff member at Delaware State.
Okay.
Right. So, and this is 6 months after I graduated. Right. So you can imagine how challenging that may have been. Fast forward to the tail end of my tenure at Delaware State University, I had 7 vice presidents in a span of 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Right. So for me, unlike everyone else, I didn't really panic, right? Because, and this goes to how I am today. I just own the space, right? I own the room. I own what I believe, and I'm confident in what I believe I can contribute to an organization, right? So every time a vice president came in at the time, I just focused on my work and kind of let that work speak for me, right?
Yeah.
And what really helped me is, again, my faith, right? I had faith that the work that I'm doing is going to speak for myself. And if I just focus on the work, everything else around it will happen according to what God thinks it is.
This audience is so diverse
Mm-hmm.
that watches our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so to the mid-level professional,
Mm-hmm.
what would you give them as the cheat code?
Cheat code.
And I think it's important because I think one of the cheat codes I borrowed from you without you even having to tell me was credentials matter.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really wanted to believe that experience was just as important, was more important than credentials. But I learned quickly you can continue to be experienced, but you will plateau without certain credentials.
Right.
And so I don't want to limit our conversation to just higher ed.
Right.
I think in life, like, what is that cheat code to grow in the space? Because from our first maybe 10 minutes of rocking here, I'm hearing you chose based off 3 principles that you had to go to grow sometimes.
Right.
And going to grow can be uncomfortable.
It can.
But what was the cheat code to climb that ladder? Because, I mean, we talking about from brand new staff member 6 months after graduating Delaware State to now senior vice president. You got to have some cheat code that you know.
Yeah, so my president been saying this a lot, President Bolton at Columbia College Chicago, and she says you have IQ, you have EQ, but what we don't talk about a lot is RQ, right? Which is relationships, right? Relationships do matter, right? And I think for me, cheat code, I guess I would say, is building meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
Right. You have always been consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's why you and I have stayed in contact for a long time, actually, since you were an undergrad. Actually, many of my student leaders, I'm still in contact.
That's good.
Right. And so relationships truly, truly, truly matter. And then when you think about the climb, right, and I don't really need a degree, you need both. You need the experience, right, because that's important. Because if you have the degree but no experience, it's just as bad, right? So it is really, really important to have both. If I had to weigh one of them, if you want to get into, if you want a seat at the table, if you want credibility, if you want lasting power, and for you as a person, if you just want to benefit yourself, right? Getting that degree is going to be, getting that credentials is going to be critically important, right? No matter what field you're in. If you're a CPA, you need that MBA, right?
Right.
And so on and so forth. So it is critically important. And I know there's this thing out there. Do I need a degree? You know, there is a push for lowering the requirements, and not requiring a degree. That's true, right? But if you look, the ones who are actually getting the jobs after they remove the requirements are still folks who have degrees, right?
Yeah.
Or credentials, right? Or certificate programs. Whatever the case is, you're going to need something to be able to be welcome to the table.
Oh, I agree with you. The Jarrod Benjamin with an MBA, doors open different for Dr. Jarrod Benjamin.
Good.
It's just I can see the difference, but it's definitely
And Columbia College is exploring a MBA program as well.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. That's gonna be a game changer. How do you personally define leadership? Because there's so many definitions out there. I'll be honest. And for me, because I came from the military, I had such a stringent definition of leadership when I walked into the new field that I had entered then. And now, I think I've sat in the field enough to have a few varieties of definition. But how do you personally define leadership as a person or as a professional or even both? Like, how are you looking at leadership?
I have evolved over time, right? So if I had to define leadership, I would define it as act of service, right? How do we become a servant leader, right? How do we advocate for our people, right? People who we lead. You'll never hear me say supervisor. Never hear me say boss or anything like that, or have someone call me that. I think I'm an advocate for my team. So how can I be of service to my team members? Of service to help them grow, of service to see them achieve within their responsibilities, and so on and so forth. So I've evolved around the word defining leadership, and I think it's an act of service. We all must be more servant leaders. We all need to have a higher level of emotional intelligence. We all need to, that leader who is always the don't do this, don't do this, don't do that, and not serving his team. I think is going to be a challenge for anyone who is seeking leadership.
For me, leadership has two types of experiences, right? We have our lived experiences and our learned experiences. I think learned experiences, each role, you probably learned something different. What is a best practice or a nugget you could drop today based on some lived experiences that you've had in various roles? And I don't want to call them mistakes, because I believe that's too strong of a word. I think some of them were just opportunities for growth. There were some things I learned early on in my career. I'll be honest with you, I even keep it as simple. For me, was dress code.
Yeah.
I like to wear sneakers with my suit sometimes, but I don't do it till an interview.
Right.
Because I want to be perceived as interview ready. And I know there's a fine line between fashion and professional dress, especially when I'm entering rooms where people are sometimes 10 to 12 to 20 years my senior, and they're looking at me, is he ready? Some of the things I think I've learned is I struggle, man, because I didn't grow up with a lot of financial literacy.
Right.
A lot of my financial literacy came through my own lived experience.
Right.
Early on, I was uncomfortable with a P card. And for those that are not higher ed, and I'm saying P card, a company credit card, and I didn't want to use it.
You're right.
It just was the uncomfortable nature of sliding something that I'm going to be.
That is not yours.
Oh my God, man. I'm thinking I don't want to have to, when it's reconcile time, I don't want to have to remind the restaurant, separate this off this check.
Right.
I may have had a beverage, or I just don't so many.
The stress of it.
Man, do you hear me? And not seeing credit cards in my home, because I didn't grow up with that level of socioeconomic privilege.
Right.
And so I did not know how to navigate that, and didn't want to seem amateur going to my leadership saying, what are the do's and don'ts? Even though I took that little quiz for 10 questions, everybody knew how to answer them. I didn't want to go to a space and say, hey, how do I ask that? So from your lived and learned, I probably got a list of a bunch more I could probably go with.
Sure.
One more I think is important for me to share is I ran away. I think it was necessary for me to leave my alma mater, even though I started my higher ed profession there because it was very hard to separate myself from folks that were my peers immediately. Even though I mentally and professionally could, they could not. And I didn't want my office to appear to be the hangout. I even chose the adjunct at a school I graduated from. And so in the classroom, I'm teaching in classrooms that I used to sit in, and it wasn't even but a few years in between that process. So for me, I wanted to experience higher ed or professional experience outside of where I graduated from. Mm-hmm. And I always tell my people that say they want me to mentor them or offer advice, man, don't grow so comfortable that you only can work at your alma mater.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like you said, for me, everything is a opportunity for growth. Mm-hmm. Starting with a humble beginning, right? Being in foster care until I was reunited with my mom, 3 near-death experiences, mm-hmm. to really heading in the wrong path until I found the sport they call basketball, right? Yeah. That helped me to get to college. Every life experience leading up to this point is just an opportunity for growth. So if I had to say to folks if I had to speak to my young self is, it gets better, right?
Yeah, that's good.
For me in leadership, the other piece that I've learned from college to college that I've served is listening, right? Actively listening, ensuring that you have empathy, right? We learned a lot through the pandemic, mm-hmm. right? And I think it's all opportunities for growth. I learned something from each institution I have served, and I'm grateful for those opportunities. And I think I'm fortunate to really be in a place where we're always going to continue to grow. We're always going to continue to learn from shortcomings, right? You mentioned just had to run from your alma mater. Mm. I remember when I was at Delaware State University in Dover, Delaware, every time someone would come to homecoming, they was like, man, they used to call me Manny. Hey, Manny, you still here?
Right.
How long are you gonna be here? Oh, it's gonna be time for me to leave. And the first institution I went to was a polar opposite mm-hmm. to Delaware State, which is a historically Black college and university, right? And one of the questions that institution asked during the interview was, why would you come to this institution? It's polar opposite. I was going to be the first African-American for that particular position. Why would you come to this institution? Mm-hmm. It was predominantly white college. And I said, because I'm going to be uncomfortable. And she just looked at me and said, what does that mean? Being uncomfortable gives you a great opportunity to learn and expand, right? And I feel everything throughout life gives you an opportunity to learn and expand and see some things that are different. My last institution, Voorhees University in Denmark, South Carolina, we had the opportunity to go to Ethiopia and really learning that culture. Mm-hmm. Just kind of created new pipelines. Uh-huh. And I think that's just how life experiences happen. It just, you learn, you expand, you grow, and the mistakes, quote unquote, you make, you just make sure you don't make them again.
You're in Chicago now.
Yeah.
You're definitely not from Chicago.
No.
So who's the football team? Who's your football team?
Well, first of all, I got to tell Chicago folks, the best pizza is New York pizza. Because if you can't fold them, you got to hold them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Like, hold on. So, I'm a foodie.
So I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And
you say the best pizza in New York?
The best pizza is from New York City. I know Chicago has their deep dish. I know these are fighting words.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
the best pizza in New York.
The best pizza comes
I'm gonna have
from
to
New
put
York.
that in the note, and you have to send me some locations though, because I'm intimidated with New York. When I get to New York, I feel swallowed up. I never know where to go.
Yeah, I think Chicago's the same way.
Well, no, but the thing with Chicago, I'm routine too though. So I got like 4 or 5 restaurants. I'm not gonna venture too far out.
Right.
I'm not far out in proximity, far out from my taste buds. Because I have an unfair judgment. I'm South Louisiana. I compare everything to back home cooking.
Right.
And so I'm in the restaurant giving a mental critique.
Now Chicago has some great cuisine.
Okay, I'm at the lean in.
Chicago. I'm a foodie.
Now we didn't cover pizza, but are you a Bears fan?
No.
Who your team? Now if it make you feel better, I say it first. I'm a Saints fan, and we having a struggling year. You got to keep us prayed up. It's bad.
Well, then
did that make you feel more comfortable?
I think we're in good company because I'm a Jets fan.
Okay. See, that's what I was wondering.
My whole family, including my wife's family, my in-laws, they are all Giants fans, New York Giants fans, and they're struggling as well. But I've always been New York Jets. I've always been the opposite.
I'm a Saints fan, and I'm just every Sunday it's like it'll make me go to bed early. Because I'm watching us just get, oh God, I don't have.
I feel like last week I had a better game.
Man, better for me will be a W. Can we just get a W? Right now at this point, I don't know if it's strategic so that we can get a #1 draft pick, but right now we are heading towards that direction.
Well, I think you guys had an opportunity to get to draft Shador.
Oh man, don't get me upset again. Because right now
the Giants had an opportunity to draft Shador.
Yes.
Sanders.
I think even though folks may have had their own agendas on their why, they're looking back at it right now saying they could have been in a better situation had they have him. But what I am enjoying though, I'm not a Jaguars fan, keeping it a buck. But I have been enjoying watching Travis do his thing.
Yeah.
Like
he did a really good job yesterday, right?
What? That catch was incredible. You hear me? I was worried about the fall, but he got right up.
Yeah,
but amazing.
He's fragile.
The boy, look, he handling it though. He handling it.
He's gonna need some more muscle.
Bro, he gonna need something to eat. He gonna need to eat good too. I'm like, maybe he have to get his chef to come from Jackson, Mississippi, and feed him good because them boys was eating when they was in Mississippi. Maybe they got a little hungry in Colorado. But his speed is there. He working hard.
He's doing his thing.
I'm thinking, in candid reflection, I want to kind of go back maybe 8-9 years ago when we first encountered each other.
Right.
If you had to think back, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Like I'm excited. The brotherhood that's grown from this, the synergy that's grown from the relationship. I've been able to do life with you in a very unique way that has always kept me encouraged, academically, personally, and just even shared vulnerable and transparent moments in hope of wisdom,
right?
Or in shared wisdom. I've been able to like kind of go back and forth with it, but I don't know if that's what I thought it was going to be when I first met you. And I want to speak to that uncomfortableness, like uncomfortable, even not just your position, but even your locality of upbringing. I know people claim down south in a lot of different states.
Right.
I just feel like Louisiana is the South.
Right.
Like South. And so somebody I have a friend that's from Baltimore. He'd be like, Maryland's the South. I'd be like, bro, I don't know what map you're looking at. I get us under the Mason-Dixon line, but I need you to understand, in Louisiana, we're not calling Maryland the South. And I know people in Virginia say that's
Maryland has a South mentality.
Man, we might have to argue that one through, man. I'm going, but I would offer to you, I think that played a role. I knew you were from New York.
Right.
And I just really didn't have a lot of experience with people from New York, period. Not in a bad, I didn't have bad experience, just didn't have any experience. We had different fraternal connections. And there was a level of authority there. I met you in your infancy in that role, not infancy to higher ed, though. And I said it to say, so there was a lot of uncomfortable change that we had to embrace, that you were the spearhead of pushing. That, by the way, I think we just texted about that a few days ago.
It's still in place, right?
Man, well, people was uncomfortable, now it's become the standard. And we've been gone for years, right? And so I say, what is your candid reflection on who I was then versus who we are now?
I think then, like as you mentioned, green, right? Really trying to figure things out, trying to make some tough decisions in the midst of transition, and really trying to do the best you can.
Yeah.
And through that point of time to where I am now, it still kind of connects to the same principles, right? Faith that whatever challenges we face, we'll make it through. Family, as long as my family is protected, I can conquer anything, right?
Right.
And focus, right? What is the focus of that particular time, and what is the focus now, right? For the now, Columbia College Chicago, it's stabilizing enrollment, elevating the brand, really focusing on philanthropy, and really focus on operational efficiency, right? So the principles really kind of, no matter what time frame it is, it's still there, right? And I've learned to finding, there's no such thing as work-life balance, right? It's all about priority, right? So, when is it time to really focus on the work?
Yeah.
When is it time to really focus on the family? And then when is the time, and this is where we sometimes fall short on, when is the time to stop, take a break, and come back to it later, right? I thought working 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning is great, right? But then you burn out fast, right? So how do you prioritize what's important throughout that day, and really make strategic moves in accomplishing those goals, right? So when I think about then, I was more focused on, my priorities were out of whack. Focus was probably first. Faith was probably second, and then family, right? So I had some opportunities to really align where I am today, right? Because I was putting work before family, right? And that wasn't healthy for me. So as I continue through this journey, I really, had it, and the pandemic kind of helped, right? The pandemic, I'm sure, helped a lot of people stop, slow down. You really can't go anywhere, right? You have to be one with yourself and your family. And it really kind of refocused my energy on, okay, I don't need to be doing that, right? I don't need to stay 1 and 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I used to drag my wife to certain things, and she's an introvert, and I am an extrovert who poses as an introvert, right? So for her, why do I need to have her come to this, right? She couldn't stand higher education because I thought all these different things that she needed to come to was important, but it wasn't, right? So really prioritizing what makes sense for her to be involved in. And then really, as I said, the pandemic just kind of recalibrated my values, because it made me stop and reflect. And I decided to just go in a different direction. So I said, faith, family focus is going to be always in that format, in that priority. And it's been guiding me since, right? So
when we think about leadership or even success with leadership, because I would offer what I've observed in the years that I've known you. I've seen success, but how much is networking? You talked about relationship earlier, but how much has networking played in that? And what I want you to do is consider speaking to the mid or senior level professional that really don't got the ABCs or the fundamental of networking.
Yeah.
They do go to the conferences we at, but they not networking.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is imposter syndrome, but I don't feel successful in the field yet.
Okay.
Right. I have a higher standard. Right. I feel successful in life because my success, it might be different than other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I grew up in a very challenging home.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was the only Lalande, the interesting last name, right? So success for me, well, it is, I feel successful in one part of my life, which is I have a wife and 3 beautiful kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? So to me, I'm successful in that regard, right? Some folks don't see all of that as success, but in that regard, I'm successful. In what folks would see as success in the profession, what I think was key. Yes, networking is important, but meaningful networking is critical. Meaningful, Herman Felton, Dr. Herman Felton, who is the president of Wiley University in Marshall, Texas, always say that not everyone can be your mentor. Don't stop calling everybody your mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he's spot on. And I just happen to have some amazing people who just really mentored me in a way that wasn't all fuzzy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It was tough love.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely correction. For me, DeJuan Womack, as I mentioned, even Rosalind Clark Artist, who, we've never seen always eye to eye, but she was just, the stand of excellence was just top tier, right? The things that she taught me and was really what excellence means, right? And the work and the hard work that she put in as president to go from, and being a woman at the same time, that, to go from being a president and CEO of a company, and really how she managed her family, right? And always was there for all her family's major accomplishment, was just an amazing role model, right?
Yeah.
To say to myself, oh, I can do this, right? I just have to really maximize my time and focus on that. So networking is key, but meaningful networking is critical. I never turned down a professional development opportunity, whether it's going to the different conferences. NASPA is always a big one. NASAP is always another one. Health, right? At Clark Atlanta University has the ELI program. So all of those things I took advantage of to be able to really maximize on my networking, and hopefully, one day I'll be in a room. Hopefully one day I won't be in a room, but my name is spoken in that room, right? So networking and relationships is always key.
As we come to a close, I think it's important for people to kind of hear what I heard, at least. Definitely family plays a huge dividend.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes role models and mentors are mistaken as synonymous. When I believe role models set a standard of how I want to live, but a mentor coaches me to get to that standard. And I think not knowing the difference between the two can have you stumbling and fumbling, right? And so I'm appreciative that this hour that you've given me has really showed me the difference between the two.
Yeah.
I value the times that you've been my mentor, and been able to grow with you as you've grown professionally.
Absolutely.
You've never left me behind.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I've been able to kind of almost tap on every door that an institution or walk on the grounds that you've been at. So I express gratitude for that. But I think
thank you.
Most importantly, what I want to share with folks is like even when employment synergy ends, if the relationship is meaningful, you don't have to end the relationship.
Yeah.
And I think even when you left the school that I was at because another opportunity presented itself for elevation, we remained in contact, but it wasn't surface level contact. Like I wanted to be a part of your wins, and I wanted you to be a part of mine. And so my hope is that this time that we've spent shares with the listener that to be more intentional with their connections, their relationships, their ability to network with strategy.
Right.
You called out some amazing professional development opportunities. Man, when I register, the moment I register for them, I start strategizing how I'm going to be in them rooms.
Yeah.
If I'm just sitting at the bar,
right.
I'm strategizing how that elevator pitch conversation or how do I present myself to them so that it's just not a conversation, but it's dialogue that create opportunities. Even if they're not revenue generating, I've shared on a previous episode that there's been opportunities that I've stewarded friendships that yielded opportunity for me so much later. So if you every connection won't be a near-term win.
Right.
And I think you worked for some amazing leaders.
Absolutely.
And as you reflect on those opportunities, probably they're even more amazing now while you sit at the executive level, reflecting on decisions they had to make that you got to watch them make. And now you have a blueprint on how to make those decisions.
I do.
And so, man, I'm thankful. Today was a reminder for me on where to place my family and my growth.
Yeah.
I'm often trying to balance it all, man.
All right.
And in that balance, I'm reminded today that don't let your family sit on the back burner.
No, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity, and I feel the relationship that we have built comes with consistency.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're talking to mid-level managers, consistency is going to be key in your relationships. You know, the one-offs calling when you're getting ready to go out in the employment market.
No, for real.
It doesn't really work, right? Yeah. So every relationship, including yours, you know, how you doing? Like how are you?
Pores. Don't be a taker. Be a pourer sometimes.
Yeah. So that's always going to be key. And every call doesn't have to be because you want something.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's how our relationship was able to grow.
Well, we excited. I hope is that this episode gave you a nugget or two that you can walk away with. I'm excited what you're doing at Columbia College Chicago.
Thank you.
I'm going to keep it on the radar watching all the success that takes place.
Thank you.
Keep the Saints in your prayers. I keep the Jets in mind. Because clearly, and then my hope is that when I get to New York, I can text you. You can at least navigate me to some pizza.
Okay.
I want to walk to it because the Subway is still intimidating.
Now you need to have Chicago pizza.
Well, I've had Chicago pizza.
And then have New York pizza. And you tell me.
We'll come back on another episode and do a foodie review. That's what we're going to have to do.
Chicago. Your pizza is not better than New York. I'm not going to say it's
The
nasty.
young folk would say it's mid. Ooh. We thank you for your time today. We check you next time.
Take care.